You are listening to GMR Radio. And now, the Great Movie Radio Show.
All right, everyone. Quiet on the set. Places. We've got a show to make here. Are Chris and Gabe ready? They are. Okay, everyone. In 3, 2, 1, and... Coming to you live from sunny Orlando, Florida, it's the Great Movie Radio Show, a movie talk podcast starring Chris and Gabe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Movie Radio Show. My name is Chris, and of course, always with me, the awesome co-host, Gabe. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Nothing much. I'm doing good. And I'm excited for our guest today. So it's going to be I feel like it's going to be a very different show, but a lot of fun today. So I'm excited.
Yep, and we have good reason to say that because it's your film professor, actually.
It is.
Extra credit. Extra credit.
Hey, I have a pretty good grade, so I feel like, I might be fine, even if I don't get
I'm going to whisper it the whole time that you're talking. Extra credit. Gabe just wanted extra credit.
No.
But before we talk to your film professor as our guest today, we're going to talk about a few other things. We've done 2 of them at the time of this recording, Twitch movie watch parties. It's been something you and I have discussed doing in the off season and then kind of near the beginning of the season. And we finally kind of got it going. We've done 2 new movies now. We watched True Grit and The Phantom, and these were, of course, voted on by our listeners. We kind of put together the format of the genres on the ride and go through Amazon Prime Video's movie listings and, pick movies that are suitable and ones that, we don't want those really cheesy Walmart knockoffs that they have. And compile a list for our listeners to vote on, and then when you and I have a night off and we can put all this together, we try to give everyone some time in advance. We just throw up on Twitch, or throw it up on Twitch. We throw up on Twitch. Blah. Excuse us, everyone. And just have a movie night and pop some popcorn and talk about fun facts of the movie. And you weren't able to do the second one because your mom was in town, but
yeah, I popped in a little bit.
Yeah, you popped in, but we have a
or if you want to force people into watching me a movie that maybe I didn't vote for.
So, as the time of recording this, our 3rd voting process is available, and we are jokingly saying everyone vote for Masters of the Universe to force Gabe to watch this. And so far, Masters of the Universe is winning, so you're welcome.
I'm gonna laugh when I fall in love with the movie and then it's on my top 5 movies.
It's gonna be your new Back to the Future 3.
No. Let's not go that far.
What happens if Back to the Future 3 is available on Prime? Which, by the way, before you answer that, the reason why we have to go through Amazon Prime Video, Twitch is owned by Amazon, and so it's like a rights thing. You have to link your Amazon Prime Video to be able to watch the movie with us. So having the access to it is strictly, it has to happen. So that's why we're limited to the provisions of Amazon Prime Video when we are making our list and our choices for you to vote on. But yeah, Gabe, what would happen if Back to the Future Part 3 was available on Prime? Would you just you guys aren't voting on it, we're just watching it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. If it was available on Amazon Prime, I say, hey, if you want to join us, this is what we're watching. We're not voting this week. Back to the Future 3. Bam.
Deal with
it. That's it. You're going to have to deal with or if 50 Goes West was on there, because that was my other favorite Western.
Nice.
So maybe
I
would put up those 2 as a vote and be like, which one do you want to watch? Do you want to watch 50 or Back to the Future 3?
I would jokingly add Masters of the Universe as a third option.
And I would say no, we already watched that. Because obviously that's what I'm going to be watching when I
You are going
pick
to
a
be
date.
watching this. Man, if we just added it jokingly every time, that would be like the Matt Damon of the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
It's fine.
Goodness.
It's fine.
But yeah, we're having fun with it. It's really nice because it gives us a chance to, you and I don't always have the time to sit down and record because we're remote and our schedule. So it's nice that if we do have a night and maybe we would normally do an episode, we're able to hop on Twitch and watch movies with our listeners, and some of our friends have hopped on, and there's a chat room there so you can chat while you're watching. And you and I kind of do this really bad. What did you say? The great value version of
I said
3K commentary.
So, okay, to clarify, it was mostly you. I was trying to focus on the Western movie, and I was trying to pay attention. But you were doing like the Wish version of Mystery Science Theater.
But that's half. I've always wanted to do that, and granted, I'll be quiet during like the pivotal moments of a movie if it's like one that.
So now I know if it's a pivotal part of the movie. Yeah, if you're quiet, that I know that it's the pivotal part of the movie. I'm like, I got to pay attention. If he's talking, okay, great. I don't have to pay attention to this.
But then there are also movies that don't take themselves seriously, like The Phantom, and Pat and I, because Pat Dooley, who was a guest last season, him and I did the last one. We kind of chatted during the whole movie. He had never seen it, and he was still, just because he knows the movie didn't take itself seriously. It's a cheesy, silly comic book hero movie.
Oh, but that's the thing. Masters of the Universe, super serious. It falls under the drama section. I'm pretty sure it's a documentary. So I will be completely silent throughout the recording of it and just focusing on that. Along with my special guest, who I haven't announced yet, but you probably will know by the time this records. So
I was gonna say that the Watch Party 3 might happen before our episode's out, so everyone will know by then.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So if you're ever available, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where we're posting. Our Twitch channel is twitch.tv/the GMR show. So follow us on there. Make sure you have Amazon Prime linked, and we'll let everyone know when we're doing these events because it's really fun. It's just, like I said, a nice time to sit down and just chill with popcorn and watch a movie. And that's the whole reason we do our show, is just talk movies. So why not watch them together and talk about them too?
Wait, I have to talk?
So Gabe, our guest today, is your film professor from Valencia College, Jed Broitman, which he'll correct me later, but I believe that's how you say it.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I took him for 2 semesters, so I should know how to say it, but that's how I remember it.
Okay.
But I also
have a good grade, so you must be getting something right.
Yeah, I hope so.
There you go. So you took this class because of the show. Is that because I think that's what you originally told me?
Yeah. So part of it was I just needed credits to help me graduate from Valencia. So I was like, I need at least 2 classes, and I was like, okay, I'll take Portuguese to help me with work when we finally get the Brazilians back. And then I was like, I remember him talking about in my humanities class when I took him for that, all about like his film class and cinema nights and all this stuff. So I said, you know what? I don't watch enough films, and I'm always on here like, okay, I've never seen this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie. And that's no different tonight. But I feel like this maybe this will help me get a greater appreciation for film. And I've seen some stuff that I probably wouldn't have seen whether passing on Netflix or on TV or anything. So I'm excited. And I mean, I showed you the list and you were like,
oh, the syllabus list was incredible. And you recently, I was going to try to like Skype you or Zoom you and watch along, which I still want to do sometime. But you did, what was it? Metropolis versus Blade Runner? Yeah.
So for that assignment, we watched Metropolis first and then Blade Runner. And then we had to pitch why let's pick a movie and then pitch why that was the better movie out of the 2.
Oh, okay. Now, does he do that versus thing every time, or is it
no? So, I mean, the list you saw is just the list of movies that we're going to see throughout. But every week he'll post on Canvas and tell us what our assignment is. So when that happened, I was like, "Oh man, I have to watch 2 movies now? I was like, with everything going on, it's hard enough watching one sometimes. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
so. But for the most part, and they all like add on, and then there's like other videos and stuff that we watch that go along with the movie. So I think it just depends. But I thought that was interesting because there's definitely, 2 movies that are very far apart, but both like futuristic, and they were both fun.
And that was your first time seeing Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, and
What did you?
Metropolis.
Yeah. I mean, well, Blade Runner is one of my favorites. That's why I was like more concerned.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to avoid it. We only talk
I
about
saw
my favorite
Metropolis.
movie, Back to the Future 3. There we go.
Back to
Insert
and
plug.
Fievel Goes West.
No, I really enjoyed it. I liked. It was. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I'm still trying to like learn how to appreciate movies, but it was one of the few movies so far that we watched that I like sat down and was like watching like for the most part all the way through. Because like work and everything, I have to I watch it at work and break things up. But that, Pan's Labyrinth, Boogie Nights, and Ivan's Childhood were the 4 films, my top 4 so far that I've seen in class.
Oh yeah, I remember Ivan's Childhood. That's one I haven't seen that's on my future watch list. But Pan's Labyrinth, that's a great film. That was your first time seeing that too?
Yeah, that was our first assignment.
Oh man, that's a
And with those,
wonderful film.
What's cool with those is the way he does the assignments. It's not like with at least with the film of the week, because that's what he calls those films. It's not just hey, watch the movie and write a paper about it. It's hey, watch the movie. Here's what I want you to talk about in the discussion with the entire class online, and respond to 2 other people, and yada yada.
Huh. That's awesome, man. Well, he is our guest today, and in just a few moments, we're going to be talking with him about Cinema Nights at Valencia College, which is a program that sponsors showcasing films to the public and to students. We'll let him talk more about that. It's I don't think it's going right now if I saw on the website because of COVID, but I'm sure we'll pick back up once things are safe again. Dad's Garage is an improv theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's co-founder of it. So I want to talk about that because I grew up loving improv. And then, of course, we're going to talk about his top 5 and go around the track. So it's going to be a fun show. Stick around here. We'll be right back on the Great Movie Radio Show.
And now the GMR Show presents Moments in Film History.
For today's moment in film history, we're going to go back to 1878, where photographer Edward Muybridge became the first person to capture what we would recognize today as a moving picture. Muybridge had been commissioned to document the phenomenon of horses' hooves leaving the ground all at once, and he developed a device called the zoopraxiscope to prove it with his forward motion images of horses galloping across the ground. This has been a moment in film history, and you're listening to the Great Movie Radio Show.
Hi there, Great Movie Radio Show fans. My name is Dalton Burdett, and I'm here to tell you about the Movie Nights. Well, what are the Movie Nights? The Movie Nights are a small production company out of Orlando, Florida, responsible for award-winning short films, podcasts, and a variety of movie-loving content, and we are also new partners of the Great Movie Radio Show. So, for some more movie-loving content that you guys will probably enjoy, please head over to our YouTube channel, Movie Nights, and you can find the exact link at youtube.com/c/Movie Nights, and also be sure to listen to our podcast hosted by me and my partner Ryan Warner on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. And yes, Movie Nights is spelled with a K because we think we're clever.
Hey guys, and we're back to the Great Movie Radio Show. Today, like I said earlier, we have a special guest, my professor, looking for some extra credit, Professor Broitman. What's up?
Hey, how you doing? Extra credit? Really? Is that really? This is gonna be
yeah,
a short
I'm trying
podcast.
Hey, I'm just trying to get that. I just want to get that perfection, go from a 99 to 100. So anything counts.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you're doing poorly in the class right now, Gabe. I think you're doing just fine. So
show off.
No.
Maybe you can sort of squirrel these points away, give it to another class. Is another course you're not performing as well in? Maybe.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think it'll count towards Portuguese.
Mm.
No, but I was.
I know him.
So today we're talking about
exactly
Portuguese.
Yeah. But no, I was really excited, especially after the first assignment. You got excited. You're like, "I'd love to be on," and I immediately texted Chris, and he was like, "Yes, let's have him on." And then last week, he was like, "Hey, we need to record next week," and I was like, "Do you want me to like message him? We can email him." He's like, "Yes, let's go." So we're excited to have you.
I'm in. You know what?
Yeah, thanks for coming
it's
on.
not like I've been many places in the last year. I've been at my house. I've been in my living room. Or I've been in the den. I have made it outside. I have made it some. No, honestly, I'm down because yes, this feels like traveling. It's as much traveling as I could possibly do at this moment. So I have at me. Love to talk shop about cinema and film, all kinds of things.
Well,
Awesome.
speaking of shop and cinema, one of the things you guys do at Valencia, which of course you're not doing right now because of COVID, is cinema nights. And you did want to bring this up while you were on the show with us, and I definitely want to talk about it because we actually are going to attempt to be a part of it in the future. So yeah, let's talk about Cinema Nights at Valencia and what it's about and what it showcases, and yeah, just have at it.
Sure, and I'm going to read the actual like our mission statement, so I don't sound like I'm a fool. And I haven't read it long enough to now. Usually, I can read it off the PowerPoint that I've got there in school. So, Cinema Nights' objective is to increase student engagement in all of Valencia's academic areas through film. So, we choose films that expose students to situations and human landscapes which are rarely explored in mainstream filmography. So, Cinema Nights is not only an opportunity to study film through a critical lens, but it also challenges students to analyze film as a mark of cultural identity. And it's open to all Valencia students and community. And I just want to say, I'm going to giving a shout out here to Professor Bob Warren, who really is kind of the Nexus founder of this, probably 2016, 2017, along with Natalie Sutton, who was there at the time. But Bob and I kind of have fostered it along the whole way. And I'll talk a little bit more about some films that we've shown. They're usually at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, depending on the semester in Building 5 in West Campus. And there's always a quick little snapshot of what this film's about, what you're about to see. We watch the movie, and then there's a post-mortem where we talk, ask questions. So you can go, what was that? Because I've never seen Touch of Evil, and I feel weird. And I'm like, that's Orson Welles. Anyway, so in the end of the day, Cinema Nights really does oftentimes open up students who are like, oh, there were black and white movies? I'm like, yeah, it's true. There was a time when color didn't exist. They will know that now in my film class. So, yeah, we will talk more Cinema Nights for sure. Also, I mean, I guess I'll just piggyback on that. Valencia still has a super robust, East Campus film program. I mean, technically, I mean, I don't know how you rank them anymore, but for a long time it was quote nationally ranked, and I think it still is. And it's really on East Campus in particular. It's about the production. It's learning camera technique and learning different, lighting and all the mechanics of filmmaking. My class is really kind of an open elective as the history of motion pictures. And so it's kind of a baseline that you don't have to be a film major to be in it, but many do, just to remind themselves, oh, okay, here's how, film started early on. But the flagship and the crown jewel of the program is on East Campus, where they've spent some serious money, and they got a new sound studio over there. And please, if you're if you're somebody who wants to jump on and start playing with real, material that the professionals are using, quote unquote, in either Hollywood or Yollywood. What's up, ATL? They let you do it, and it's way cheaper than some other programs. I won't mention names of schools that are also local and diss on them, but it's cheaper than that program, if you know what I mean. And you really do hands-on experience, hands-on, and I recommend it. So for those, and you're not ultimately going to USC or UCLA or whatever and spending thousands and thousands, but you're getting top level professors and you're producing something. So East Campus is housing that program. Anyway, I digress.
That's awesome.
Where are we going to next?
All right, I'm signing up for college tomorrow.
Yeah, there it is. Do it.
So let's talk about Dad's Garage, because going into this originally when we had you sign up for the show, I didn't know, and I did my research on you once he was like, yeah, I'm a film professor, and I saw that you were a co-founding member or a founding member of the Dad's Garage theater group in Atlanta, which is where I'm actually from. I kind of was like, oh my God, we got to do this. We got to talk about it. So it's an improv troupe, right, in Atlanta?
Yeah, and it started as that. I would say it started as that. Dad's Garage Theater is located now in the Old Fourth Ward, east side of town there. Yeah, it used to be in Inman Park, little 5 Points area. And, to give an Orlando credit, it's a lot like we originally started our idea off of SAC, Orlando's own improv. Mm-hmm. And we started as a group of guys from Florida State University. We had our own troupe there called the Whammo Players. But we were, at the time, I'd come back home to Orlando, and, Wayne Brady was still here. And, we would jam with him at SAC. And they ultimately moved, a whole group of those guys, Jonathan Mangum.
He is
so they're guys talented. I know back in the day. And they all went out to L.A. They formed what was called House Full of Honkies. When we graduated, the Whammo Players, we were like, well, what are we going to do? And we researched a variety of cities. New York was too full, Chicago too full, LA to LA. And the Olympics were coming in 96. We figured, let's piggyback off the Olympics. Let's do this. And so we, gathered what pennies we had and made our way to Atlanta, which theater's still running 25 years later. We had 25-year anniversary this past summer. And the core of what Dad's Garage is about is improv comedy, sketch comedy. But it's really expanded, which I'm proud of, from, 8 drunk white guys doing their, white guy comedy to we've got, actually he just left to go start Second City, John Carr. We had a black director, to a whole unit with inside Dad's Garage called Dark Side of the Room. And, I figured, gosh, it just took a while, but man, we want to diversify. Oh, and women, we clearly were not, incorporating enough women, and now women make up well over half the staff and performers. And, it's an encouraging vibe that way. But in the end of the day, Dad's Garage is primarily improv comedy, a mix of people. And, we talked briefly before this, who's, some people that might say, well, who's in there now? The quote unquote famous people who've come out of there, or who've piggybacked off of the Atlanta community. Lucky Yates, who plays on Archer, and he's Krieger. And then there's also Amber Nash, who plays Pam Poovey. They're both Dad's Garage people. Randy Havens, who was on Stranger Things, as Mr. Clark,
nice.
The mustache science professor. There's a variety of people I could probably name, and and that's kind of the scene. And I guess, and I haven't been there in a long time myself. I left in 2001. As Atlanta got more and more film intensive, a lot of actors would come by and drop by Dad's to see if they can just play, if they want to experiment or play, and do a variety of things. And a lot of credit there goes to Kevin Gillis, who was Canadian director, and said, our artistic director, let's incorporate some of these people and open it up, so we're making a name, and it's been pretty successful. I hope they've survived COVID, being closed, quote unquote, for so long. And I say closed. They did Twitch, they did online material, but as it's a hard road for theaters, no matter where they are. No doubt. Mm-hmm. But that's, and I performed there roughly 1996 through 2001 as a onstage ensemble performer, doing primarily theater sports and the like, a couple sketch comedy things, but also here's a good segue. Within that, my day job was in film. I worked for a film production company. And I worked my way in from being a PA to the sales rep, working on commercials, regional, national commercials. So I would sell my directors around the country to different advertising agencies. I had a guy to be like, "Oh, this is Gabe. He's food, people, and all things silly. This is Chris Snyder. He's our animation and digital wonder guy. Whatever, each guy got lumped into some genre.
I am the animation.
There you go. Right? Yeah, that's it. He does animation.
Oh,
so
goodness.
that was interesting to be in 20-something, flying around the country, talking to ad agencies. This is when my materials on they called 3/4-inch reels, these giant fat reels that I'd lug around in this huge suitcase and then have martini dinners with weird ad execs and go, "What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. Hey, I'm an improviser. Good thing I'm in this job." So that was part of it.
Do we all really know what we're doing?
What are we doing here again?
I don't know. Who are you people?
Just talking.
Just talking.
So we're going to briefly talk about your top 5, and these are a great list of movies. I've seen one of them. And that's Reservoir Dogs. Tarantino is my favorite. No, but Raising Arizona and Ghost Dog have been on my list for quite a while, and I just never have gotten around to them. But yeah, your top 5 films are Raising Arizona, Reservoir Dogs, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai with Forrest Whitaker, and The Last Laugh. And a couple of these are going to be on your Around the Track, so we get to talk about them more in depth in a little bit. So, and this is a really hard question because these 5 are so different, but do they have like a common ground of why they're in your top 5?
Yeah. I definitely thought about that after the question was posed. What are your top 5? And I was like, impossible to answer. All right, I'm going to give you 5 films that maybe aren't my top 5 favorite films of all time, as much as these 5 films somehow are talisman films that either changed me or still, tattooed my brain, put a wrinkle in my brain I can't unfold. Someone introduced me to them, or they were happy accidents. And I guess start with that. Raising Arizona, happy accident. My best friend forever, since we were 12, Matthew Ames and I, Matt and I were at classic, 7th, 8th grade movies, hanging out. And we're like, I don't know, there's nothing on. Let's duck into this theater. And we ducked into, and this is 1987. We ducked into Raising Arizona, and we sat down. We had no idea what this film was about, no idea who the Coen brothers were, nothing, no knowledge of anything. Opening credits, things go on, and you hear the yodeling and Raising Arizona, and it was just this instant, like I looked over at him and I said, "Where are we?" And he went, "Let's stay, man." I went, "Hell yeah." And at the end of it, we like high-fived. We went back. I think we saw it at least 2 or 3 times. And I was an instant Coen Brothers fan. Then I had to go back, and there was Miller's Crossing, and then I've been following ever since. And I put that on the list only because is it a complete film? No. Or is it a flawed film? Yeah. Are there lots of things wrong with it and things that are odd? Certainly. But it kickstarted me again into movies as like, whoa, what? Like this is more than a movie. I had dreams about it. The music, the soundtrack, the editing. I mean, Nick Cage, maybe his best performance. Holly Hunter, John Goodman. Some people will laugh. Oh, there's my dog barking. Some people will laugh and go, Raising Arizona, really? That's like the weakest Coen Brothers film out there. And the reality is, I would totally disagree. I would say it might be their most complete film. The Big Lebowski doesn't exist, which is almost everyone's favorite in many ways, without Raising Arizona at all. It just doesn't. And what Raising Arizona represents, is this sort of, quasi dark humor, but like, even though it's late 80s, it's sort of timeless. If you go back and watch it again, it could be today, sadly, or not sadly. I mean, it doesn't have to be in any time. And I love pieces like that. Timeless element of, and in some ways it's a biblical story, right? A baby is picked up from the rushes. I mean, and this desire to have things. I mean, there's so many sort of narratives within it that are just not, surface level. You're like, oh, it's about a couple who can't get a baby and it's all good. And it's like, no, there's a lot more going on in that. I mean, literally, I say biblical. I mean, Tex Cobb, who plays the demon rider from hell, who comes in and steals the baby. I mean, all those crazy, bizarro things that he's doing as the evil, demon rider. It's good versus evil. It's death. It's life. It's pretty biblical. And I remember, like I said, after the film, my buddy Matt, I turned to him and we both quietly went, "That was awesome! Like, happy accident! Hooray!" I mean, and to this day, I've introduced a lot of people to Coen Brothers I said, start with Raising Arizona. You can go to Fargo later. You can go to even Big Lebowski later, but go there. My brother-in-law TJ will hate me for saying that. He's like, Big Lebowski, super fan. But anyway, well, now I got to ask in this format here, and maybe we can edit something.
I know how he feels.
Right. Do I throw this back on you guys too? Have you seen Raising Arizona or no?
I mean, I usually tend to say what I have and haven't. The only thing on your list that I have seen is Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm usually just here for comedic purposes. I haven't seen a lot of movies. Usually, unless we're talking about Back to the Future 3, then I probably haven't seen it.
Which I did hear. I did hear that's ongoing gig. I was tempted to watch it today.
Yes.
And then I thought my joke is going to be, but have you seen Back to the Future 4? Have you?
He's asking.
I haven't. Yeah. No, I haven't.
Well,
I know.
You've got time.
I need to catch up. I'm still stuck on 3, so I just can't leave it.
Hey, Gabe, I don't think there's a 4, but that's okay. When you see 4, you let me know. And if there's a 5, we'll watch it together.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the future. You got to go back there. That list is really top tier. And like I said, I've wanted to see Raising Arizona. I've wanted to see Ghost Dog. The Killing of a Chinese Bookie is a title I've heard floating around the cinema sphere for quite a while, but I've never really grabbed it and I need to see you. But now that I'm seeing the appeal, it's on your list for your favorite mob gangster film, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when we do Around the Track. It's already on my watch list. And The Last Laugh I actually hadn't heard of, solely because it's old. And let's do Around the Track.
Let's do it.
That's what we're here for. That's our
that's our bread and butter.
Main course. Yeah, it is. This brings in the no dollars that we make to do this show, ladies and gentlemen. Around the Track. We're going around with Jed Broitman, Detroitman, and that's going to be your nickname now, Jed the Detroitman Broitman.
I like that. I'm okay with that.
There you go. We're going to let Gabe be our tour guide today, so he is going to start off the ride, and I'm going to hijack the vehicle, quote unquote, while we're in Western as your bandit character.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so we're going to go around the track. Should be very interesting because you have never ridden the ride or you can't remember if you rode the ride and you've never watched on YouTube. So it's going to be a different tour, but I'm very excited to see it.
I encouraged him to. I did say, hey, there's plenty of YouTube videos if you've never ridden.
I did watch the YouTube. So
okay.
I do know what's happening
roughly
as we gather the room and then, yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to start off in musical. Your musical is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I have not seen the movie. I've heard some of the music. I'm a big Broadway person myself, and I'm somewhat familiar with it. But I'll let you talk about it. Just what's it about and why it's your favorite musical.
Okay, so I'll start off this premise first. I am not a musical guy, meaning I think musicals died for me when Cop Rock was a ABC Stephen Baccio whatever show, and I just said, okay, I can't do musicals ever again. Musicals are dead. So it's my least favorite genre, by far. I mean, people hate me. Even Hamilton, and I'm a rap guy. I'm just I'm I'm okay. Like, it's not my thing. I just lost half your super theater audience who's like, goodbye. I'm closing this podcast down. I've even been in a musical, Dad's Garage. We did the original. It was called Cannibal the Musical by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, which is an original piece that was about the Donner Party eating each other as they crossed the Rockies, and I played the sheriff. I sang in it, so I'm in a musical. Matter of fact, here, little tidbit, you can look that up, Chris. I'm in the DVD in the theater portion. I sing a song called "Hang the Bastard, Hang 'Em High." So I'm in musicals, and yet so when I gave you my musical as Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I can't remember who first told me about this, and this is a piece that came out. I'm not even sure of the year. I can look that up too. But it's
2001, right? We're talking about the John Cameron Mitchell version, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I saw that, and then it came actually and played here in Orlando at the Parliament House live, which was an entirely different experience onto itself. To go and see it live was like, what? Like, I introduced a bunch of my friends, even a bunch of my straight friends who were like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm like, just be cool. You're going to be fine. Just walk into the Parliament House won't make you gay. It's okay. You know, you're going to be fine. And they see the show and they were blown away. It's, if you've not seen it, I mean, the story arc is ultimately, actually I should ask this. Are we giving away, like, is this a spoiler show? Like, if people don't know the film, should I not tell them what happened? You can talk about
it. Yeah, Spoil?
Okay,
away.
so like so people will know. Like, okay, for those of you out there in listening land, if you don't know the story of Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Hedwig is ultimately somebody coming from East Germany, and to get out of East Germany has a sex change, and their business becomes 1 inch long. But when they return, they come to America. It's, you know, the GI leaves them, and he is left as this, you know, unique sort of, you know, the Angry Inch, and you know, he's in this quest and it's a sort of love story too. There's another guy that he is in love with, who steals all of his music and then becomes Tommy Gnosis, and, you know, becomes a super rock star. But Hedwig is again cast asunder. He's nobody, and he's got his little dumpy little band called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And so it's a gender bender, weird story, psychosexual, fun. I mean, almost, you know, I would argue it's a new Rocky Horror style vibe, with glam rock. And I mean, I'm not even doing it credit, but it's cathartic. And then, you know, it's also, it really does tap into, like I said, the psychosexual and gender issues and all kinds of things that, you know, are often not talked about. But, you know, the play, John Cameron Mitchell, it's really, it's a beautiful show. And there I will give musicals credit. If you can weave it into your storyline as part of it, I buy it, right? Like, he's in a band. The band is called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. So the songs they sing are reference to what he's doing. I just can't get on the groove when, like, you know, midway through someone's eating cereal and they're like, cereal, it's so crunchy. Wait, what? Why are we? What happened here?
I mean, they're not wrong.
But mine is soggy because I let it sit too long.
Right, yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. Going back to Dad's Garage, we often ended our night on a large musical. I mean, it brought down the house. I mean, you know, they're big. It's opera. It's silly. It's insane. It's fun. So there's nothing wrong. It's just me personally in the genre of cinema, I'm not a fan of musical per se. And I get that, you know, like, I think okay. I even maybe said that in the questionnaire. I was like, I don't musicals, no. And yet there are plenty out there that are beautiful. I'm going to eat again. A lot of your audience members just tuned out.
They're not for everyone.
That's not
okay. I'm not a huge musical person either, but there are aspects of them. I'm a huge music buff, and so, like, concerts and music, I love them, and I love the like the Rocket Man and the Bohemian Rhapsody movies lately. Those appealed to me because I loved Elton John and Queen growing up, so that was awesome. But
Yeah, and
there
to
are
me,
certain ones that reach out to you, like
Right.
you said for this one for you.
Yeah. I mean, and so like I kind of put that down as like, what's your favorite musical? Hedwig and the Angry. I mean, many people would be like, that's not even a musical, dude. That's like a weird Broadway play. And I'm like, wait, no, it is. It's a musical, but it's sort of dark comedy. It's obtuse, which fits my my bailiwick. I like the absurd, and it's an absurd piece that again also is touching. I mean, if you don't cry in this film, come see me. I'll make you cry. So it's worth put it on your list, viewers. Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And even giving away what the Angry Inch is about is not necessarily ruining it. It's a worthwhile cinematic adventure. And again, John Cameron Mitchell, beautiful. It's a really nice piece.
There you go, Gabe. You heard that though. If you don't watch it and cry, he's going to fail you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your grade depends on your grade's so lower.
No extra credit, but I could. So with that being said, now, what scene from the movie would you put on the ride? Like, obviously, we're opening the ride, so I mean, you have the budget. It could be rated R.
Okay,
it could be rated.
And don't care about the Disney and families. Who cares?
So there's two scenes. One scene, he's singing inside a Arthur Treacher / Denny's Golden Corral, and he's got his own song, and in other words, they're like a loser band, like nobody will hire them, so they're playing at this Denny's, and people Captain's Catch, Fish Place, and
it's like Bill and Ted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a funny sort of segue that you can probably show a bunch of different movies that are involving the restaurant universe, whatever. I mean, Grease to a variety of places that are Americana, and that's one scene I would film. Also, in the movie, he's got animation and drawings of the song I would put in there was called "The Origin of Love." Is about how people were born and how genders were made and how Zeus created us and then cut us in half. And he's got this tattoo of we were, I don't know the lyrics at the moment, but two items together, split apart and in unison. So somehow you could not easily, but the ride could, if I've got no budget, you could have the ride itself split, your car could move or something could happen. And part of you could be going to the right side of men, the other part women, and then merging at the end of this song somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not a ride designer, but
that's cool, actually.
The Origin of Love.
And it'll be interesting because you'll have those people like, oh, that was cool, and then you'll have those guests that are about to go into our gangster scene and like, what the did I just go? What is going on? This is not what I signed up for. But with that,
right.
With that, we are going to jump into the mob and crime scene. And your movie, Chris said he heard of it, but I have not. The Killing of a Chinese Bookie.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, what's it about? Besides the killing of the Chinese bookie, obviously.
Yeah. So right. No, well, actually, in many ways, it's as simple as that, and yet much more complex. This is a John Cassavetes film. If you're not familiar with Cassavetes, also put him on your list. I think I might be showing you Faces this semester, Gabe, so you can check out.
It's on the list. Yeah,
it's on the list. Yeah. Yep. So essentially, it's a strip club owner. Cosimo Vitelli, played by Ben Gazzara, is short with the mob, essentially. And they're like, look, you can either pay or you can do a job for us. And the job is killing a Chinese bookie. And it's dangerous because like the Chinese mob, wherever he's going is, it's not easy to get in and get out, but he's able to pull it off. Again, I'm not going to give spoilers what happens as much as it's a classic Cassavetes piece in that a lot of it is improvised. A lot of it is sort of dark. A lot of it's sort of confusing on first watching. I'm going to give my man David Sinrich, if he listens to this, he was one of my directors, and he's my good friend now too. When I was working in that film production, I was always asking him, "Hey, what movie should I watch? What should I watch? What should I watch?" And Chris, reference for you, I think I checked this out at Videodrome in Atlanta. I would have rented it from there. So
Yeah.
I got
I
Killing of a
love that
Chinese
show.
Bookie, and I remember it being this gangster film, 1976, 77, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that this film
76.
Cassavetes, like I said, changed, and this influenced this helped influence. I mean, Scorsese, references Cassavetes, and a variety of people will reference Cassavetes in this world. The film itself was hated. It got pulled in like 6 days, and Cassavetes said he would re-edit it and then re-release it, whatever. So it was a failure in the world of Hollywood. But that's just it. It wasn't Hollywood. It's independent. Ben Gazzara is masterful in the role. There's a couple of scenes where he knows he is he can't figure this out. He's screwed. He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. And he just like walks into this one bar, goes in. It's clearly improvised, and he just takes a couple of shots. He lights a cigarette and sits down, and he has this sort of cosmic laugh to himself, like, I don't know what I'm gonna. Like, he knows he's either dead or dead. He's there's nothing he can do, and it's sort of dark, but it's beautiful to it's a rare moment on cinema to catch an actor, no lines, no scene, nothing about it, just the raw element of how you feeling here? Your character is screwed. You're done. And so in that way, it's an untraditional or uncharacteristic gangster movie. Not a whole lot of violence, limited violence. When he does go, which I always remember this, when he does go to get the Chinese bookie, there's these dogs, and he can't get in over the fence. But he's like old school gangster. So he goes to like a In-N-Out burger, and he buys these awesome burgers, and he warms them up, and he feeds them to the dogs so he can quickly hop over the fence while these dogs are munching on the burgers. And it's like so pedestrian and dumb. Like, really? Is that all it takes? And so I always think to myself, all right, if ever in trouble, the hamburger's gonna get you out of that jam. And it's sort of goofy, but yet it does get him, quote, inside to do his. I'll reference back one more thing to it. He's an owner of a strip club, and in the strip club, he's got this this MC named Mr. Sophistication, who comes out, and he's like, the up next, and it's like a play, and so all the girls come out and do their dances, but each one is sort of symbolic of some sort of quasi Shakespearean thing, which is really foolish. Again, making an Atlanta reference. Within the city of Atlanta, I don't know if you know this, for a while you couldn't have an actual strip club, but you could have theatrical performances. And so there were themes at different strip clubs. I only know this because a friend told me, but certain clubs in Atlanta would do that. And you would have a theme, like it's Robin Hood, I'm like, oh my gosh, who's, there's the Merry Men. I mean, it was just, and this club that Cosimo Vitelli, aka Ben Gazzara, runs, and then he goes home and he takes care of some of the strippers, and so it's this weird relationship. And he's not creepy. He's trying to do well, and yet he's failing at almost everything he does, and it's a character examination. So it's untraditional gangster film, and yet the mob's involved. It's lots of awesome 1970s, super big collars and giant cars, and it feels like an organic sort of Goodfellas in some ways. So put it on the list. Again, many people hated it. Many people were like, this film sucked. What was going on? I didn't feel anything. I'm glad that guy's dead. And yet there's a lot of merit in watching Cassavetes get things, in particular, out of actors. I think if you're an actor, you need to watch this film, particularly for Ben Gazzara's work in this. He's excellent. And now on to
And I just looked it up.
something
It's
more.
on it's on the HBO Max right now, actually.
Is it really?
Ah, perfect. I got
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
So before we jump on to our next genre, we're going to talk about what scene you want to put in here. Now, we are doing a Bandit show, so the Bandit's going to take over, but we like to preference that normally in the Great Movie Ride, behind the Bandit show is the Gangster show. So if we
Right.
figure out a scene for a gangster to take over, even though they're not taking over this episode, what scene would you throw in to your Great Movie Ride?
Yeah, I think I would put in the scene where he's actually I'm pouring myself a glass of. Don't worry, it sounds like something else. I'm pouring myself a glass of wine here. I would do the dog scene. Maybe you can transition Hedwig and the Angry Inch at their Denny's, and then move it right into feeding of the dogs. Because actually, when he goes to kill the Chinese bookie, again, I feel bad, like I'm ruining the movie for people. But the Chinese bookie is in a massage parlor house, and he's in like a jacuzzi with some ladies, and it's not really actually even all that graphic as much as it's just like he's clearly has him, pun intended, with his pants down, right? So like even the Chinese bookie is not ready for Ben Gazzara to slide in something so simple as the dangerous hamburger fooled you, and again, the biggest part of the whole storyline there, and I'm saying this whole thing, he's not prepared for this. It's not his gig, right? He's not a killer. He's not, he's a nightclub promoter. He's definitely not a hitman. So the fact that they put him up for the job, it's a setup, because even though he does it, they're still going to kill him anyway. Now I ruined the movie. Damn it. No, it's worth checking out.
So what you're saying is
It's in the title. If the title doesn't give it away alone, then...
Right.
So what you're saying is
correct.
the tour guide will leave, get off the vehicle, get into a massage parlor, go get a massage, and then come back later. Okay. We're going to jump over to the Western scene. Now, your favorite movie is Unforgiven from 1992, and Chris and I were talking about it. We didn't realize how recent it was compared to other Westerns, especially because we referenced it, and there was a line where we talked about it in the Great Movie Ride. So it's very interesting to see that it came out not too long ago. But again, the only two
it'll be
Westerns
30
I've seen
years next year, but...
Yeah, but still, when we watched True Grit the other day, that was from the 60s. That feels like the 90s feel like yesterday.
Yeah.
I know.
So am I beholden to my answer? Like, am I stuck there, or can I improvise and say, actually, even though I wrote that down, I want to put this in there?
We can talk about both.
The Western and the gangster scene wasn't just one specific movie like the other scenes. They focus on the genre as a whole. So doing two in that one, I think would be fine.
Yeah, we can briefly mention both, and then continue and add the scene from one of them to go on.
So what's your quote here? That will help inspire me. I'm interested.
Well, there's a quote. I want to say it was toward the end. It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away everything he's got and everything he's ever going to have. I watched Unforgiven for the first time in its entirety during quarantine last year, and that moment just hit me in the face, and I was just like, "Damn."
Yeah. No, and I think and that's why I think what I liked about that film as well. That way, and I'm admittedly trying to grasp a scene specifically that I would do, but I'm gonna lean on you then and say that quote would probably that quote would probably satisfy it. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to think if I were to help develop the ride. I'm thinking of the movie The Searchers which is John Wayne and
Which
huge,
is perfect because that
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah. Huge Monument Valley stuff, open sky, big sky country world. Unfortunately, so much cultural appropriation madness. So many bad cowboys and Indians world probably wouldn't flesh out so well these days. Where, I just watched on Stars the other day, Robert Meacham and Marilyn Monroe in what was it? It was the River of No Return. It was terrible, but I loved it. Like, it was just so bad. It was like Marilyn Monroe. every scene they were like thrown in the river and like chased by wolves and mountain lions and like mountain men, and her makeup and hair is awesome, right? It's a ridiculous film, and Robert Meacham is just this, Mr. Man. He's like, I'll knock him out for you. It's so dumb, but exactly what I wanted out of a Western at times. The genre sometimes feels, but maybe I'll transition with that then. So Unforgiven feels un-Western like in some ways, right? There's some kind of anti-hero world, some kind of other scenario going on there in the Western that's non-traditional. And yet, I might argue, here, you ready for this? My favorite Western, might be Star Wars. What? You did not. Star Wars is just a Western. If you the original, episode 5 is a Western. Prove me wrong. I'm listening. I'm waiting.
In space.
Yeah, it's a space opera, but it's a Western. The whole movie.
I agree 200%. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's probably why people like it. I like, and again, I'm shying away from the answer because I have many Westerns. The good, bad, and the ugly. All I might just skip it and just have whoever's the actor, the tour guide, just play Clint Eastwood, and just High Plains Drifter and pull off. I don't believe you can have a better Western-like character than Clint Eastwood doing basically anything in those. Not modern day Clint Eastwood. He's gotten a little weird. But the 1960s Clint Eastwood
is the
yeah. Well, I don't know how old. I think he's like 85 or something now. Maybe more.
Man.
The old Clint Eastwood there, it's spaghetti Western style. He is his own genre in many ways onto itself. So maybe you could just throw a poncho over somebody, the half, the chewed cigar, and then more gunfire. Chris, you got to learn to fire those guns. I know you never got the training, but guns.
But I won't, while wearing the poncho, reference Back to the Future Part 3 because that is not allowed on the ride anymore.
How dare you?
Remember? Yeah, you got to see episode Back to the Future 4 and 5.
4.
Then you'll figure it out.
Back to the Future 4.
So, Chris, I'm gonna. The scene I'm going for is quote it again. You wrote the quote down.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away everything he's got and everything he's ever gonna give. And now we'll have someone else say it.
It don't seem real. I ain't gonna never breathe again, ever. How he's dead. And the other one, too. All on account of pulling a trigger.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
Yeah, that's great. And so
now we continue.
And as we say in improv, and scene, right?
And scene.
Yeah. And scene.
But no, the moment that happened in Unforgiven, though, I think I was laying in bed at like 2 a.m. because I work nights at the theater, so I'd come home and the wife's asleep already. So that's like for me to like watch the movies I want to watch and not ones that she's like, no, hold on, I want to watch that one with you. And then 3 months later, anyways, so I'm laying in bed and I'm watching it, and I was taking it in. I was kind of half there, and then that moment happened, and I just kind of oh, well, hold on. Whoa, I was not expecting this just comment to just hit me as strongly as it did, and just have the deep effect of that. And that moment just wrapped the film up in a pretty bow for me. And yeah,
did it win
was
Best
wonderful.
Picture? I want to say it did.
It won 4 Oscars. It won Best Picture. It won Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Gene Hackman. Eastwood got Best Director, and then Joel Cox got Best Film Editing.
Yeah,
So it won four Oscars in 1993.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I was 7 years old. Oh,
and again, I would argue I'm not even a Western fan per se. Again,
Yeah.
I mean, there is not much ire as I would have towards the musical world. Sorry, musical people, but
it's okay.
Yeah, right. The Western is just it's limited, and yet that's why I think I liked Unforgiven. It's kind of it's untraditional. Anti-hero weirdness and super good acting, unexpected, and it
Exactly.
and there we go. I forgot it was Eastwood as the director. So he's somewhere there too. See, he didn't go away. He's part of it.
Yeah,
he's on my ride. Damn it! If we're doing Western, Clint Eastwood's he's there. Was he there on the original ride?
He's got it. I mean, we had him on the ride anyways, so there's a reason. There's a reason he's there. He belongs. Well, I'm gonna take us on as the bandit.
Boom, I'm gone.
And when we come back from our words of encouragement from other people, we're gonna take you into sci-fi. So we'll be right back on the Great Movie Radio Show.
Hold it right there, hombre. Woo-wee! You're listening to the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe, which means you hit the mother lode. Don't any hombres move until we come back. Unless you want a belly full of lead.
Warning. Remain on this podcast. The advertisement you are experiencing is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution.
Autumn Star Entertainment is an independent producer of movies and video. Their goal is to provide Hollywood-level entertainment for low to no budget. Check them out on Facebook.com/Autumn Star Entertainment or on Twitter @AutumnStarENT.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe. When you do, it means you're riding with us now, so hold on to your horses. Speaking of which, where are the horses?
Hey, Great Movie Radio Show listeners. Hope you're enjoying this show, and we want you to be a part of it. Head over to the gmrshow.com and to our contacts page and sign up below. Make sure to add that to the future 3-tier list.
That's a mighty fine territory you're heading into, Pilgrim. Time to get back to the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe. I wouldn't think about turning back if I was you. That is, if you want my opinion.
And we're back on the Great Movie Radio Show, and with us again, of course, is Jed the Detroitman Broitman. Have you even been to Detroit?
I've been to the airport probably 2 or 3 times. Is that valid or no? That's always a question.
I've never been there.
People.
I can't judge. I've never been there.
So no, the airport was surprisingly nice for a town that often gets dumped on as a chaotic place that people are leaving. I am a Detroit Red Wings fan, so
I was gonna say it's hockey town. So
yeah,
I loved
Red
Wings.
I'm a Lightning fan. I'm a Red Wings fan and a Rangers fan. It's complicated. My fans out there will all know that. So yeah. But no, the answer is I've not actually hung out in the city of Detroit. Been in the airport multiple times. I don't know if it's valid. That can be a whole podcast itself. Landing in the airport, getting out, and eating
We just lost all our Detroit listeners.
Yeah, they're like, no, like lucky Yates.
All two people who listen to us from Detroit.
They're out now. They're like, we're done.
Sorry, you two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done here. So
This guy
Time
likes the
Bandits is what
lightning.
we're going
Get outta
into for
here.
sci-fi. The 1981 Terry Gilliam classic starring Sean Connery, Shelley Duvall, John Cleese, Ian Holm, Michael Palin. Who is not in this movie? David Warner, Kenny Baker, who was R2-D2. I loved this movie growing up, and I forgot when exactly my dad showed it to me in my youth, but I remember seeing it, and I thought it was just nutty and chaotic and just this beautiful, silly film that I just highly enjoyed. Like I said, I haven't seen it so long. What about Time Bandits makes it your favorite or one of your favorite sci-fi movies?
Yeah. It's like even funny that I'm remembering these things that I wrote down on the list, but they are valid. So I would have seen this in the theaters, and I remember this distinctly because I came home, and it was I want to say my dad took me, and I came home, and it was roughly like 8:00, and I think I recreated the entire film for the next 2 hours for my mother at the kitchen table, who was like, "You're like manic. What?" Like, she's like, "What movie did you just see?" Like, she just wasn't certain, And I was like, "Okay, scene one started with this, this little British kid, and there's a fire, and there's a devil, and and then these midgets, and whatever." And like, I just, like, it just turned into this, And she was like, "What?" She was kind of worried, like, "What film did you just take this kid to see?" But it was such a memorable piece for me. Again, a piece that was a lot of these films that I would have picked are sort of transformative, where the power of cinema, I was like, oh my God, like, it was not necessarily CGI, but there's plenty of, film trickery and fun camera work, and, the Terry Gilliam weirdness, and just, traveling through time. It felt really fantastic, and yet was quirky and dark, and I didn't know what to think. I was just a kid seeing it myself, but it was worthwhile seeing in the theaters, a large screen experience. And I don't think I had seen. I'm trying to think of another film that's like Time Bandits. Not many. And it's,
there isn't really.
There are very few. And I was also at the time getting into Dungeons and Dragons, so it was kind of, and that's not even a reference there as much as it was futuristic, weird. Like, now we would have almost called some of it steampunk or whatever. I don't even know. There's such a genre switching, and traveling through time, and also referencing so much. It's sort of like my intro to humanities course. Shameless plug. No, they jump through time and these weird little things, and I was always like, what? Like, I don't even know what's going on, but I was fascinated, by it, and so I know. What's
Have you ever
next.
used Time Bandits to jump through your, like, as the?
No, because you know what? None of my students will know.
The anchor
right?
for your course.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Look, I can't make a Happy Days. Yeah, I can't make a Happy Days or Welcome Back, Kotter, or even Cheers reference, because my students are like, "What's that? What are you talking about?" They don't know those TV shows, and it's not their fault. I mean, think about it. Most of my students now are born in 2002. 2001, 2003. Yeah. So, like, that seems bizarro land, and yet why would they know 1970s sitcom?
And what would
even SpongeBob's a stretch for some of them, right?
The Office, and
if I talk about the Flying Dutchman, they're like, what?
Growing up in the 80s and sitting next to this kid's like, what?
Right, they don't know. Very few films, I guess, prior to Time Bandit, had that same energy, right? Maybe later on the quirkiness of like a Amelie, if you've not seen that, that's French, Audrey Tautou. What is that? 2001. Delicatessen. Have you seen that?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never seen the whole thing.
quirky, interesting editing, but like just the fact that it was just, it felt itself. And I've watched it again since then. I thought, will this film hold up? And the answer is yeah. Because it's weird.
My wife and I were at this coffee shop probably about a year and a half ago, before the whole COVID thing happened. A little coffee shop of horrors down near Claremont and all that. And they have this cool little arcade set up in there and really nice little coffee shop. But they had Time Bandits on TV. And while she was like ordering and stuff, I was just sitting there in trance, like, I haven't seen this in so long.
Yeah.
And I just immediately just pulled me in with a tractor beam, and it's ageless, man. It's such a good film.
So I might do, and if you could do it, right? My budget is whatever I want it to be, because I'm Universal Studios.
You could take us to a few, jump a few points in time.
I would do the whole giant scene, right? Because aren't you on like a ride itself? And like, what if the actual ride lifted up a little bit, like on an elevator, you went to another level, and you could do the screen around you like you were the giant, like you like look below you, like you remember he's in the lake. Remember the giant's hat? They were on a boat,
yeah,
and the boat was his hat, and they were like trying to get off, and they ended up like stabbing him in the head or something. I can't remember exactly, but I thought that was super clever too. Like, wow, the boat is the giant's hat. He finally gets rid of them because they light it on fire, I think, and he's like, oh, and he takes off the boat,
As long as this wind keeps up, nothing can go wrong. No! Keep the rudder straight, Strutter! It is straight! All hands on the tiller! Quick, drop the sail!
Right, give it to me!
I got it! That's it. That's better, we're out of that.
Randall, I think there's something you should know.
But what if the ride itself was the hat of the giant, and he stands up, lifted you up, and actually you just did like an elevator, like the ride itself was on like level 1 to like some sort of next level, and you continue the ride forward.
There could be something like some kind of lift to take you.
Yeah,
up.
Think about it. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, that little dip you go down when you do the splashdown, right? Maybe do the splashdown there.
Reverse.
Yeah, in reverse when he drops you off, maybe that instead. I don't know. But that scene is historic, or the Napoleon scene where he meets Napoleon, or even there's the whole traveling through time. If you wanted to switch scenes altogether, remember like that wormhole where they just sort of the black hole, and they're like and that's that could be an interesting, easy segue to go through the dark. I don't know.
There's so many options with that movie, and that's what we could sit here for another 2 hours, or what's the length of the movie? Hour and 50 minutes, and just the whole movie. There you go. Time Bandit. We always like find a way to take one of the movies we talk about and just let's just make a ride off the one movie. So we're gonna do a Time Bandits right now.
I think we could.
This is true.
So yeah, there we go. So we're gonna go into a ride that was actually on the ride, or a movie that was on the ride. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah,
Indiana Jones. So this was on the ride, but that's fine because we can change up the scene a little bit and do something different. And there it had Indy and Sala with all the pit of snakes, and that area always creeped me out. I know they were all fake, but the snakes were just like, I'd look at them and just be like, ugh, even though I just left Alien, which is a xenomorph, and I was like, oh, this is great. Now we're snakes, and those are actually real, and I'm creeped out by that, not an alien.
So
what about Raiders for you?
Raiders for me. Raiders for me goes down as the movie I have seen in the actual movie theaters the most. Like, how many times have you seen the theater, sat down and watched the movie? I believe I have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark at least 13 times in the actual movie theaters. And that was because one summer was a summer where I had seen it like with the summer camp troupe. And then I saw it again with my uncle. And then I saw it again with my parents. And then I saw it again with like some birthday party. We're like, we're going to see Raiders. And I was like, okay. But it was such an interesting and stellar movie. I never was like, no, I don't want to go. I've seen it already. And I knew what was happening, but it didn't matter. Every time I was like, let's go Raiders. And so, yeah, I think I counted. And so at time 12 or 13, I was like, I'll go again. You can't stop me. I was like, I know what's going to happen here. What's so brilliant about the film? It's multiple films in one. It's probably 6 or 7 films in one, from location, from the beginning, Amazon, which, I forget when you go back to it, look and realize that, Alfred Molina plays his little helper in the beginning there. Do you know that? I mean, like, and I say that because I remember watching him like, oh my gosh, that guy's like a super amazing actor. He plays this little schlub who gets, killed early on in the film. But it's a multi-layered film. I mean, there's so many things going on, and even though I know what's going to happen, it doesn't matter. I'm super intrigued. It just doesn't let up. So the scene in the ride is actually what the snake scene, or no? What is it? Or
the arc with the snakes and the snake.
And they're just they're just lifting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Really bad.
Yeah.
But it was cool still.
I'm trying to think what else you could do. I might do that opening one where like the arrows fly by you, and they could do it like a whole interesting air piece where they just shoot out air near you, like the feeling of air, like, and you're like, whoa, and then
we can have a giant boulder chase us.
Giant boulder roll over you, right? You think you're gonna get it, but it just rolls above the crowd. You could do.
We could do something.
You could do an actual, and you can do the Casablanca thing, right? But have the plane, the Nazi plane, roll quickly close to you as two guys are punching each other. And then,
it's like the stunt show there at the studios when they had.
Oh yes, they did that. Yes, I remember that.
The stunt show
that I did see. Sorry, everyone.
Oh man,
I did see that.
Yeah,
my friend Mike Adsit was in the show.
Okay.
He was a gymnast from high school. A buddy of mine went to Winter Park. I didn't go to Winter Park. He did.
That's awesome.
He was in the show as, I don't know, a gymnast. I mean, he was able to flip off stuff and
as a gymnast.
No, he was like one of the guys who got punched and flipped off the top of a building. And I was like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "I do this all the time."
Yeah, they would do like fight sequences, and there were mats there for them to fall on and kind of roll over on. So that seems very gymnast like. So.
Oh yeah, no, he loved it. I remember him saying one of his favorite gigs. Paid well, and he got to sort of do his craft a little bit. So enjoyable piece.
There you go. We're going to leave getting chased by a giant boulder and arrows flying by our faces and go into Scream, the 1996 horror mystery from Wes Craven, Gabe's favorite horror film. And
yes,
this movie, and there's another one in the works. It's I forgot the pair of directors that are working on it right now. But it's been a TV series. There's been several movies, and the fact that it's still relevant and fresh is it tells you something.
So maybe I'll get him on, because now I'm gonna drop a little name, Richard Potter. So Richard Potter is a childhood friend of mine and my brother. He's actually my brother's age, but he either, and he'll listen to this and be like, "No, dude, you got it wrong." He either found this script or somehow was one of the early producers. Here, while you're on, you can look him up. Richard Potter and Scream. So Richard Potter is a friend of mine who this was his kind of break into Dimension Films, and I don't know his role within Scream.
He was the executive in charge of production. He's under production manager under the credits.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Richard Potter was a childhood friend of mine, and he was the one who, I can't remember, my brother told me, he's like, "Dude, you got to check out Scream. Richard did this." And I was like, "He did this?" And so, like, you know how that goes. Somebody tells you they did it. I'm like, "Is he in it?" Like, I was so excited to go check it out. Also, at the time, original Scream is filmed at Agnes Scott College, right? Did you know that the original Scream should be, which is an Indicator?
That's right.
That's right. Right?
That's right. I forgot all about that.
At least that part is. So I lived right there, and so like all these synergies, I was like, "Oh my gosh, let's check this out." And the film, I just felt like it it's a love letter to horror movies. If you think about what this screenplay is about, it's a love letter to all horror movies. So it's very, as they say, meta. It's super meta text. It references itself. Itself is a horror movie, right? And so, I was only worried, and the others were pretty good too. Scream 2, how many were there? 3 or something? I don't even know. The second one was
there's 4. The new one is going to be the 5th one.
Okay,
that's right.
I knew as soon as I saw the first, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to ruin this with like 9 of them. So I've seen Scream 2, I think, and then I have to, as a film snob, I'm like, I'm out. Like, it can't get any better. You're gonna screw with.
I think I've only seen the first 2 as well.
Oh, yeah. I've seen all 4 of them.
I know, Gabe. You've watched. If you're the dude who's, Back to the Future 4, young man, then yeah, all of them. It is not your fault. So anyway, yeah, that reference. I might tell Richard to listen to this podcast, and maybe you'll have him on, and he'll have super awesome stories about Hollywood. Because he was
Gabe,
in that.
I mean, I love it, but Gabe, I know you would adore that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll ask him.
Cool. I don't want to do like I did on my episode where we talked about this for like an hour long, and I was like, oh, sorry.
So the answer, like, what scene would I do? Of course,
well,
it'd be
before
awesome.
you do this, this is the moment where the tour guide takes back the vehicle from the person who hijacked it as a gangster or bandit.
Okay.
So there could be like, I don't know, we've had people like behead people or like killed them. Or Gabe, didn't you have Scream on your?
Yeah. So for like mine, it was we pulled up to the house and somebody was in trouble, and the gangster bandit like got off the vehicle, and then the tour guide was Ghostface killed him, and then ripped off his mask and was like, "Ta-da! It's been me the whole time," and got back in the vehicle.
It's me the whole time. Yeah, I love that. No, definitely. Or like, on the phone, 100%. I mean, because like it's in the ride right now, and like somehow have
that would be fun.
Yeah, have the person pop up in the middle of your, have some door or whatever pop up in the ride.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
I can't remember how they do it, but
cool.
That'd
like
be
a
great.
trapdoor. We could do that.
Yeah, trapdoor.
There's a magical way the ride could be parked and like a little hatch. Like,
I mean, we use a trapdoor in the ride itself because that's how the gangster bandit turned into the skeleton. We just waited for the fog to go up and just pushed it through, and then bam! Oh, he's dead.
You would have to have some hazmat teams come and clean up some people's leftovers after.
We'll give out the ponchos, and it'll just be like when you're in the front row of
Splashdown.
What was it, that movie? Like American Psycho, the musical. They had people wear ponchos.
Oh yeah.
How bloody it was.
Yeah.
Which I love the film. I've only seen the bootleg copy. Sorry, everybody. New York's expensive. I remember seeing like ponchos in the front row. I was like, oh, they're gonna get splattered. It's gonna be great. Gabe, you have phoned into the ride, and my guts are everywhere. So you can just dump me off the car and keep going with my fake gummy worm intestines everywhere. Goodbye.
I feel like now I should also have like the little voice changer that he has in the movie, and like,
oh yeah,
it was me the whole time, and then get back on. I'm like, all right, cool.
There we go. All right, let's go on. You got this?
Yeah. All right, so we are going to jump out of the horror movies, although I really want to keep talking about it, but we only have like an hour. And we're going to head over to the drama genre of the movie. Now, I'm assuming you were talking about the 1996 Breaking the Waves movie.
This is Lars von Trier. Do you know this film? Yeah.
I do not.
I've heard of it. I've seen a few of his movies. I've seen Melancholia. That movie was like, whoa.
So here's where my film nerd comes in. Dogma 95. Are you familiar with this film movement? Danish film movement headed by Lars von Trier. And the principle there was sort of to get back to basics. If you read, you can probably Google that right now, Dogma 95, there are 10 rules they made. And they made up these rules in reference to you must shoot only in natural lighting. All things have to be no special effects, all natural sound, no added music, all kinds of different rules. They wanted to be film purists of sort. So Lars von Trier and a few other guys came up with Dogma 95, and this is one of the first Dogma 95 pieces. And Emily Watson plays a mentally sort of like on the spectrum sort of person. I don't know if she's challenged or what her full scope is on this very specific outlying Scottish island where, this old religion of like almost this, puritanical Calvinist, sect of people are living. There's an oil derrick not far from where they are, like in this, the North Sea or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exactly tell you, but somewhere in that range, which is not unheard of. And, the guy ends up sort of falling in love with her. They're going to get married or they're going to be together. Her name is Bess. And,
I see.
And
yeah,
this would not do well on the ride. It would be super dark because the film is like this whole like existential, take on love and life and religion and what is okay in your universe. How far can you take love in a weird way? I mean, and it's set up in different chapters with some musical interstitials, even though there's no music there, but it's like 6 chapters or 5, I can't remember. Beautiful film. I would argue top 3 performances of an actress of all time. Emily Watson plays this character just brilliantly. Like you have to remind yourself, one of those movies you have to remind yourself, oh my gosh, she was acting, right? One of those films where at the end you're like, okay, wait, she's a real person. Like you'll see her in an interview and you're like, oh my gosh, you're not Bess. Like one of those films where you are. Skarsgård is in there too. One of the Skarsgård guys, I can't remember which one, but he plays the love interest.
Was it Stellan Skarsgård?
Maybe, yeah. Long hair, taller.
Yeah, it's Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah. And he's the love interest. It's a really interesting film. Again, it's not for everybody. There'll be people who be like, I can't go that dark. Because, it doesn't end well for her either. Like she's searching for his love and she doesn't know how to behave in the real world. And it's sort of like, it's a metaphor for how people, what do people think love is about? And then, ultimately when he gets paralyzed, he's sort of like, hey, I don't love you anymore. I don't love anybody. I don't love myself. He gets kind of addicted to pills and, it's a dark film, but it's beautiful. I mean, when I say beautiful, it's beautifully tragic. It's an epic tragedy. Again, put that on the list. Do not put this on the ride. We'll have to just say Breaking the Waves or Dogma 95, amazing, and then move on. Like it would not make the ride. Trust me on this one.
We'll just put a scene of the coast and her just standing there and just
yeah. Well, and
I mean we've had scenes on here where we've given people tissues because we're like they're gonna freak out or depend. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Put whatever.
Yeah. No. Because the other Dogma 95 films are just as dark and messed up in many ways. I mean, he's done some Lars von Trier. If you look at his filmography, it's whoa. He's got some issues, Lars von Trier. And yet yet this film I recommend Breaking the Waves because there's beautiful tragedy there. Much more beautiful than some of his darker stuff, which I would not recommend for your regular viewer. And I won't put Breaking the Waves on the ride. I don't want to hurt anybody.
All right, so we'll skip the audio clip for this one and continue.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So we're gonna jump over to the animated film. Now I haven't seen this movie, but I know of it. I've seen posters. People have parodied it. But hopefully I don't butcher it. Like Ex Machina. The 1988 animated film from Japan, Akira. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yes, nailed it. So what is it about in Paris?
Wow. I did show this at Cinema Nights, and
Nice.
what is it about? Oh my gosh.
We had this at our theater last fall for its I guess an anniversary or.
Yeah.
something.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it?
I saw some of it while there because I was working and I didn't get to see it the days we did have it. So I know it's on. I want to say it's still on Hulu. Both the dubbed and the subtitled versions should be on Hulu.
So I would argue it's a must watch for any of this, and a lot of my students. I mean, I would say a lot. 30% plus are super anime manga kids. They don't know this film, and I'm like, then you don't know manga. Like, I want to go start with Akira. Super expensive film when it came out, like the equivalent of multi-million-dollar animation film when it was there. Ultimately, potentially partially bankrupt the Japanese studio that produced it. What is it about? It's after, I believe, a nuke accident or attack in Japan. I think it takes place, no kidding, in either 2019 or 2021, about this time. If you look it up, you'll see that it is this time period. And it's kind of
29 years. 2019,
I mean. 2019. And it's kind of, I can't really even, the plot line's very convoluted, and it's based off a comic book. But it's kind of, almost like what happens to our drug culture / these young cyberpunk kids riding motorcycles are rival gangs, and you kind of get this interesting classic anime chase energy. But then as Akira is like this mutant, I don't even know what you would call it, force, and then it sort of takes over, and it's kind of like the Blob in a way.
Kind of like supernatural-ish, kind of.
Yes. There's an amazing scene at the end where, it can't be killed, this sort of quasi Godzilla-like, element within it. And, as this guy is overtaken by this, I don't even know what it's, a medicine, a pill, I can't remember what the whole time. It's just one of those scenes where I've seen it multiple times, and I'm still wondering who drew that and how did it happen. The bubbling, the frothing. It's not even CGI. It's this hand-drawn layering that it's masterful. It's masterful. So see it. Hard to describe. I mean, someone's like, "What's Akira?" And I'm like, it's sort of like, what's turducken? Right, exactly. Yeah. What's turducken? And I'm like, John Madden mentions it every, Thanksgiving, but I've never actually seen it except on TV. So it's probably a thing, but I've never tasted it, and it could just be a fake out. Nobody does that. It's definitely influenced by, their post-apocalyptic stuff, just like Godzilla is. So how would we have it in the movie? Yeah. I don't know. The movie ride, the whole movie ride would just melt, and essentially, it'd be like a bright flash, and then you just hear some weird sort of odd. You'd see a bright flash, and then maybe everyone, I would say, you do fluorescent lights, and maybe drop down some sort of silly string, right, on the whole audience, and then the neon is reflective of the silly string that's on them, and they're like, "Get off of me," and then there's this if you play the soundtrack here for the in post editing, there's some crazy music, like this weird Japanese stuff that is haunting and beautiful. I'm like, where am I? It's so foreign. I don't know.
Oh,
the
yeah,
umami
the
is
chanting
not
is
even my mummy.
No, don't! Wait, Takashi! Huh? If you went in now, you'd be trapped along with him.
But he... None of this is his fault at all!
Takashi! Takashi! If we went in there, we wouldn't be strong enough to come back out again.
It's weird. You know what? While I'm saying this, because I had to write it down myself, I'm going to look up what I wrote because I presented it. Akira notes here. Here we go. I wrote it, and so because I had to tell myself, what is this? Like, what am I? What is Akira? So while they talk about its atomic origins, academic readings of Akira have also been inclined to see it as a loss of effacement of origins, a text that undermines the search for unitary meaning or interpretation and instead portrays a world in which there's no stable ground that could anchor interpretation. Many initial reviews of Akira found the events of the film incomprehensible, and even later critics with the luxury of a DVD player have asserted that it somehow defies summary. The kind of three-dimensional representation we see in the manga represents the recovery of an origin that could orient the characters. It is now literally the origin coordinate or vanishing point of a linear geometric perspective. Yeah, again, even what the hell did I write? What does that mean? Someone's gonna have to replay that. When you watch it, you'll feel the same way. It's amazing, but you might not even know why you liked it. You'll be like, It's like Dr. Pepper. What's in that? I mean, it's 23 flavors, but again, what's in that? I don't know.
What's
it's
flavor
magic sauce.
16 and what does it have to do with the others?
Exactly. Man. Was he really a doctor, or are we fooled? I mean, I don't know. But I'm drinking it.
I think that's part of the appeal of the film too, though. Is just like there's no way to explain what you just watched, but what you saw was beautiful, different, original,
yes,
and was pleasing to the eyes and ears. And I think everything that went into the film made it as great as it was, but the why is on another plane of understanding.
Yeah, and it almost bankrupted. I remember reading these notes. It did. It almost bankrupted the studio who produced it because people were like, "I don't get it. I'm done." Like, and you know, and think about it. Word of mouth. Oftentimes, that's how films are given their awesome ratings by fellow viewers. Even though prior to Rotten Apples and other things, people would say, "Well, did you like it?" You got to see The Crying Game or whatever. People didn't know what to say about Akira as much as they were like, it's wet. Like, they just, like water. How's this water? Like it's wet. Like they just had no idea what to say. How's Akira? It's got things in it. Like it's a very obtuse movie to describe. And yet, if you're a Japanese manga person, it's a must see for sure. For sure. And now our ride's over.
Gabe, I saw it when I was 19 and I had no idea what I was watching, and I still don't know.
I may have to watch it now. I have to jump on the Hulu.
Yeah, no, and so like, okay, I'll give it this reference. Like, so like Ghost in the Shell, I can tell you, like, oh, here's what that's about. Akira, I'm still like, it's a nuke accident / government conspiracy. I don't know. I mean, I probably should watch it again. But I even read to you my representation, which I'm sure someone will play back to me later, and I'll get fried for it. And I'm like, what? Why?
The people that are left will still be. Will leave.
Yes.
If anyone can explain to you Akira, with clear understanding, you should I don't know, something for your class.
They're getting an A in my class. How about that? A in my class.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Instant
Perfect.
A.
You heard it here, folks.
Gabe, you can help out a fellow student who maybe is not getting an A. You can be like, dude, I have the solution for you.
Hopefully.
That's what we're here for, the Great Movie Radio Show. We're here to get you guys those A's where it counts, man.
That's crazy. This episode has like 800 listeners.
Right? I will freak out. I'll be like, where did this come from? We're going on a tour. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
All right. One more movie. Let's go.
That's it. We're going to wrap things up now. So the Great Movie, I didn't have a comedy section, but we figured, why not? We like to laugh. So we added our own. And I think it's fun because you talked about this earlier in the podcast, and we're going to bring it back to your favorite comedy, Raising Arizona. You talked about it a lot. Anything else you want to add about the movie?
Right. There's so many quotables in that. I mean, for years, my joke was like, do your balloons blow up in funny shapes? Not less rounds funny. I mean, like, just dumb throwaway lines in the movie that I felt like, were just awesome. I mean, even going into their little trailer park, and on the wall was written like, fart and retard and like just dumb, ugly, sort of, really terrible things. I mean, John Goodman owns that film in so many ways. There's so many quirky little, and I say funny, gosh, I mean, there's funnier films, there's the whole bit about him. Neither of you guys have seen it, right? Or you haven't. There's a whole scene where he's
correct.
repeatedly
and you can talk about it. You can.
Okay,
I'll see it.
Yeah, it's not ruining it. He repeatedly gets arrested for robbing convenience stores, but in the end, like, he's not even robbing convenience stores for the money. He's like, he puts a pair of pantyhose on his head, and he goes in to get diapers for the new baby that he's also stolen from this family that's got too many babies. And he's like, I don't want to hurt nobody. Just need some huggies. And like, the guy's like, son, you got a panty on your head. And he's like, oh, and he takes it off and runs off. And it's like not even like a funny scene. It's just as it's like observational comedy where, the guy's like, oh, he goes in to rob. Yeah, here's a great line. They go in to rob a bank, but he doesn't even know how to rob a bank the right way. And he's like, all right, everyone get down. Y'all just get down and freeze. And like one guy's like, well, which one is it? If I'm freezing, I can't be getting down. And if I'm getting down, I ain't frozen. So which one is it, young man? And it's like they cast these regular sort of country people. I think the film was shot in either Tempe, Arizona or somewhere. And the line is so genuine. And I find that very funny in comedy. Not forced, real simple, straightforward. Frances McDormand, this is where the Coen brothers establish their stable of actors. Frances McDormand is in there as like a really doting mother who's like the either the sister of Holly Hunter, and she's telling all the things you got to do, and it's just quirky. Who else is in there? John Goodman, Holly Hunter, Nicolas Cage, some other actors in there that he's used, that the Coen brothers use over and over again. And it works as this, like, it's a quirky comedy. Again, some people who listen to this will be like, that's your favorite? You're weird. And the answer is yeah. There's other funny movies. This is from my brother who wrote, my brother said, Stripes, dude, that's the funniest movie of all time. I'm like, okay, it's close. But Stripes for him, which he said, just make sure you reference it. Stripes was my first R-rated movie that I remember seeing. My uncle took me to it, and I was like, Uncle Milt, you're the best, And in classic 1980s movie, there happens to be just, John Larroquette watching the girls in the shower. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Movie had no plot line, no scenario related to it, but here's a shower scene. You're like, what? I mean, it was like somewhere in the 80s there, like that was a selling point for a film. must show flesh. The boob shot will make its presence, and Stripes there it was. And I remember as a kid, seeing this and thinking to myself, oh man, we're all in trouble. Uncle Milt took us to see Stripes and there were boobs, and like I just remember my brothers on the car ride back was like, he was like, be cool about the shower scene. I'm like, I ain't saying nothing, like it's all good. It was just Bill Murray joining the army. Your comedy's safe with me, bro. So yeah, there's maybe that's how it end my ride right there. Slow fade into shower scene, and then like
not and even then, a movie scene. It's just your uncle telling you to be cool about all the movies you just saw. Be cool about it. Don't tell your mom. We wrote this
and like a super giant hand comes down over like a screen, like just like a screen over your eyes. Like, wait a minute, and all you see is just a shadow, sort of like Austin Powers, just a shower of people, like a silhouette of mannequins in the background,
like the Monty Python.
Yes,
the moments in Monty Python that are animated, like one of those cutout hands. That would be. Oh my god.
See, I made you ride better.
This is great.
And we lost all the people who were like, "You misogynist jerks!" If it's all turned into boobs. It's a TNA show now. Shame on you. We went from high art film to boobs. Not rather quickly. We're like a couple hours in, but we were going to get there.
Man.
Right.
It was all these high art movies, Akira, which confused everybody, and then just boobs, and we're like, I'm done. I'm out.
They'll forget all the other great films and everything they might have learned. They just remember the giant screen rolling down and the silhouette of quasi mannequins in a shower. Damn it! This is why we can't have nice things, guys. I'm not sorry.
What audio do I put here? I don't even know.
No, yeah. Have fun with this one.
I'm just gonna find some weird YouTube video of someone. Don't tell your mom.
It could be the Austin Powers one. Like remember the Austin Powers scene where he's in the tent and he's doing a whole bunch of things. You've seen that? Yeah, that scene. That's kind of.
I love
great.
that moment. That was one of the best.
This can be something similar to that.
Oh my god!
Sorry,
Jed. Man, what are we talking?
Well, now that we've seen boobs on the ride, we can end it now and head back to Doc.
I'm gonna have to think on this ending. I really am. What stays? What doesn't?
Sure. Just put the time bandits thing at the
end. Listen. Everybody's left already, so it's fine. It's just for us.
Well, Jed, thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about film and to, down Gabe's grade to a B-. I've really enjoyed this conversation and just, oh my goodness. No, it was great talking about Cinema Nights. Hopefully when things get safe again and we can go back to enjoying group outings everywhere, not just in certain places.
I think they would like that. They would, that's, I know they, meaning it's me and my friend, fellow professor, Bob Warren, who would be, behind it. Yeah. Even to be there, one night live and sort of sit there and record afterwards and be like, hey, got some questions for you guys. That could be a whole nother sort of avenue. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, that would
be fun. We could do like Cinema Nights Facebook Live and YouTube and all that. That would be fun.
Something, yeah, whatever. Sure. And then, and because Bob and I control it that way, we pick the films each semester, so we can talk about. There may be a film that you guys want to really have a dialogue about, and we can be like, oh yeah, this fits the role here. I'm gonna give a shout out to my current film course. That way, a lot of what I've developed around that, and I watched Mark Cousins do. It's on Hulu. It's the story of film, An Odyssey, which he he decentralizes cinema from Hollywood and goes super worldwide. His voice is so sleepy and Scottish. If you want to take a nap, he's not great a narrator because he's this great Scottish guy and he talks real soft and then you're sleeping and next thing you're like, wait, hold on, I'm sleeping. But he's brilliant. His examination of cinema covers all the way from early stuff through the ultimate end. And here I didn't get to give my last plug to be my film nerd, my top 5. You guys should put on the list Der Letzte or The Last Laugh as probably, that is one of my favorite films in light of this, what is pure cinema. And that's kind of like my area that I'm interested in. I got my thesis, my master's at Rollins. I made a short film itself called Viva Voce, Cinematic Voice Exalted. It was just a short film, all images. How does film function as a language? And so I'm kind of into that. The can images alone tell a story? And the answer, is ultimately yes. It got way too heavy with French structuralists and guys like Christian Metz and Jacques Derrida and all these super philosophical guys that even after reading them, I was like, what are you saying? I do not know. But cinema is powerful. And you guys both know that, in that, these images don't leave you, even if, and the storylines don't leave you. They kind of are, I think I mentioned earlier, the word talisman, they kind of carry through and they make up part of your lives that kind of represent who you are as humans. And they're Jungian archetype stories that you're telling each other, you're telling yourself, but they're, in some ways kind of a quasi but real religion, right? I mean, think about it. We all watch the same, we know the chapter and verse, right? I mean, that's part of what this movie ride experience is about. It's a kind of a religious experience in that, we can sing the song, we know the scene, we know, how the Genesis, ends, and we're seeking this ultimate return to the garden of sorts, right? And that's what's nice to rewatch films, is to go back to those chapters and go, I know how this ends, but it doesn't matter. I like, the storyline. And it's biblical. I was waxing poetic referencing cinema as a religious experience.
Well, thank you so much, Jed, for being a part of the show. We appreciate it. I'm sure in the future we'll have to bring you back to talk more film, because it's what we do. We talk film, we talk movies. I'll try to catch a few of the ones that are on your syllabus, and of course the list that you gave us that I haven't seen, so we can. Oh yeah, I saw that finally.
Who knows? Maybe we'll bring you on as a guest for the game show.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google, all the places you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time here on the Great Movie Radio Show. The Great Movie Radio Show is recorded in Orlando, Florida. You can visit our website at www.thegmrshow.com. Art direction and logo design provided by Mr. Bayless. Voiceover and intro work provided by Dave Fesky and Joe Erickson. You can find our podcast on multiple platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search The Great Movie Radio Show or The GMR Show. This has been The Great Movie Radio Show. We hope you enjoy your day, and we'll see you at the movies. The stuff dreams are made of. Goodbye, everyone.
You have been listening to a GMR radio production.